So welcome back. We're going to go ahead and jump into the next project, which, if I'm keeping track, is going to be a post puller. So it's basically a set of hydraulically controlled jaws that you'll mount onto a front end loader to pull, whether it's T-post or wooden post or whatever the case may be. I'll put a picture of what that should look like, or close to what it will look like when it's done. I did buy a skid steer quick attach plate, so that'll match up with my tractor. Earlier this year, I took my pin-on style bucket and attachment and converted everything over to quick attach. That's been a huge time savings for me throughout the year, just based on the amount of time that I need to go back and forth between a bale spear and a bucket, and now this will be one more attachment. So you can buy pre-bent, welded skid steer quick attach plates on eBay. I think they're pretty for what you get. They're pretty reasonable. I mean, if you compare that to some of the other front end loader equipment that's out there, it's definitely saves you a lot of guesswork with making sure something's going to work. Maybe it's not really that hard, but anyways. So we're gonna build a frame here to start off with, and then get going from there. I'll try to get some better video of this saw at work. This is pretty heavy gauge, 3-inch square tube. I think it's 3/8. Yeah, this is 3/8. So this is 3/8, 3-inch square. The saw did come with this block that allows you to hold the tube in at an angle. From what I've read, that helps the saw cut a little bit better. So far, this thing has just been eating through steel, like it's almost like it's cutting through wood. It's very quick. A lot of that might have to do with the fact that it's a brand new blade. Let's get to the end of these projects and see how this blade is still doing. But so far, pretty happy with this. They're not real cheap. But certainly it's not the most expensive saw on the market either. So I'll be able to give you guys an honest opinion, maybe towards the end of this video series. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, and let's get to work. All right, so I cut some steel and then I stepped away from this project for a bit. Time to get back to it. I kind of want to show what this is, how this is going to go together. So I've got this laid out and hopefully an orientation that makes some sense. This beam will be like the bottom beam, and this would be the plate on the back side of here that the quick attach is going to mount to. And so this is our arm that's going to move, right? We've got our cylinder here. The arm's going to, cylinder's going to extend, arm's going to close, and then this currently just framing square here is a representation of where the next bar is going to be. And so I think sometimes laying this stuff out, especially when you're trying to figure out, you know, how much stroke do I have in this cylinder? You know, what's that look like? You can kind of lay it on a table and get a pretty good idea where things need to fall before you get too much put together. So hopefully this makes sense. Let's get on drilling some holes and start putting this together. So we're starting to get some pieces together. Got the quick attach plate welded on to kind of what the main frame is here. And then I'll just kind of show this going together because it's probably the most complicated thing of this whole thing. Not that any of it's really all that complicated. But there's going to be a 1-inch bar, or 1-inch rod that's going to go into this top plate and into this bottom plate that are going to weld onto here. And then on top of that bar, we're going to have a piece of tube that's a slip fit to this that'll weld here. So the whole thing goes together, you know. That's going to allow this, it's got a little grease zerk in it, but that's going to allow this to pivot on this rod, be supported top and bottom. And then we'll put a little piece of plate in here to kind of give a way to hold, you know, if we've got force, you know, vertical force out here, it can tie back into the top of this rod and try to give it some support there. All right, let's get this pressed together. So I'd like to just talk through something while I'm here doing it. This is a 1-inch piece of bar stock that is my pivot, but I'm welding it to a piece of 3-inch tubes, and I think that's 120 wall. So obviously there's a big mismatch in the steel thickness, but nonetheless, I'm just using a 110 volt, Hobart 140 MIG welder. So what I've done before I ran these, so there's 2 passes of MIG weld on there from that Hobart welder, but underneath that I ran a single pass of 7018 rod, because I feel like it's a higher amperage welder, so I get a deeper weld penetration, and then I lap those 2 rows of MIG on top of that. I'm sure, you know, with welding, you know, especially if you're an untrained welder like myself, you'll always find that somebody will say, hey, there's a better way to do that. Well, I want to know if you had you know, for all the welding experts out there, if you were limited to a Tombstone arc welder and a 110 MIG welder, how would you do this weld? Would you just weld, you know, 3 passes of 7018 or maybe even more than that? I'm not a great, you know, part of the reason I only ran 1 pass of the stick weld with a 7018 rod is because my stick welding ability is in need of improvement. So this kind of comes out, I guess, you know, I don't know that looks really matter in welding, but it does tend to look a little bit better, even though those still don't look great. But anyways, if you're an expert welder, feel free, leave me a comment, and if you were limited with the equipment that I have here, what's the best way to do that? All right, so here's the last shot of the post puller upside down before I spin it over for the last time. I did add some gussets here on this 1-inch bar stock on both the top and bottom piece. The way this is working is this post that press fit into here a while back, that's not intended to rotate. I thought about putting a tack weld on there, but it's pressed in there so much, I don't think it really even needs to be tacked. It's both press fit on the bottom plate and the top. And it's a, you know, 1-inch deep hole as well as a 1-inch hole. So I think that'll work. The bar will have a grease on it, zerk fitting on it. I went ahead and welded, you know, full beads. I'm not crazy about how these teeth came out. I think it's just kind of the best I could do with what I had. My original plan was for these 2 pieces of 1/2 inch that are making up this tooth would be 1-inch bar stock cut in that zigzag pattern, but I couldn't come up with a good way to do that. You know, a couple of ideas. One was to, you know, cut just small triangles out of 1-inch bar stock and then weld them on them, but then the whole piece isn't continuous, and I didn't like that. So I ended up going this route. I do worry a little bit about these teeth pulling apart from each other. You know, if one is grabbing more than the other, you know, obviously the direction of force is going to be this way. You know, could these bottom teeth pull out away from these top teeth? So where I had space on somewhere on most of the teeth, I was able to get a bead in here, and then I ground it off so that I've got clearance for it to still close. So there's some welds in there. I don't know how well those are going to hold up. You know, this is going to be kind of a try it and forget it. You know, if the whole thing sucks, I could always take those teeth off, grind it flat, and then come up with something else. But who knows? This has the potential to be just fine. We'll see. All right, so this is the whole thing on the back of it there. Hopefully this is making sense what we're building here. All right, let's get this flipped over and get finished up here. Well, this is the where I'm going to call the end of the post puller video. It's not 100% buttoned up. You know, I do have some welds like these cylinder mounts just tacked on right now. Obviously, there's no hydraulic lines. But this video is going to be getting kind of long to begin with, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here with, you know, what's basically or nearly a complete post puller, and then I'll have a part 2 where I show how we're going to hook it to the tractor. Obviously, mechanically, it'll get hooked up through the quick attach plate, but then we need to run hydraulics to it. And I've got an older tractor that does not have a third function, so we're going to come up with a method to, you know, still have a set of hydraulic lines run to this cylinder to get these set of jaws to open and close. I think that'll be enough to be a video in and of itself. So yeah, I guess I'll just say I really enjoyed building this. I had a good time. I was actually listening to another YouTuber this morning, Pete over at Just a Few Acres Farm, talk about trying to embrace the process more than the goal. I tend to be a kind of a goal-oriented person. You know, do something, get it knocked out, get it out of the way, and just so you can move on to the next thing. And I think it gave me some perspective about just kind of how to move through some of these projects. I'll be posting another video here pretty soon about having my kids help me work on our UTV. And that was another one where it's like, man, if I would have just knocked that out on my own and, you know, sure, would have got done a lot faster, but, you know, I wouldn't have had the memories of working on that together with my little kids. Obviously, they're also building their own memories. Hopefully they can kind of both use those skill sets that they're learning here on the farm, but also, you know, just be able to look back and hopefully have enjoyed their childhood. So anyways, let me just quickly talk through this post puller and how I put it together. All right, so a last look at the post puller here before we end this. I did end up welding the tops of these teeth with their little Tombstone arc welder, and you know, these certainly, I think from an experienced welder perspective, you would say, yeah, your welds do not look very good. But I think the penetration was decent, and I'm happy enough with it. Certainly some room for improvement. You know, I think they say the only difference between a novice welder and a professional is just a couple 100 pounds of rod. And I certainly have a ways to go. Probably at least another 180 pounds of rod worth, but I think it's getting there. I'm happy it's improving. I still haven't decided. I might run 2 layers of MIG on top of this. Might just run it the way it is. I do want to give it a measurement here just for folks at home that are, if you're a kind of guy that wants to build one of these and this is something that's helpful. My jaws ended up being total opening. It's about 9 inches. I could knock this tooth off, and that would help a little bit if I knock that tooth down, but I think I'll just leave it the way it is and see how it is. Most of the posts that I plan to pull will just be T-posts. I've got miles of old barbed wire fence that's got to come out. That's the main reason for building this. So the majority of stuff I'm pulling is either old T-post or smaller wood post. You know, this Auto, in the dimensions that it is, pull an 8-inch wooden post as well, which is about as big of a wooden post as we ever put in. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. If this is something you've got questions on, or you're trying to build your own and you need some more detailed pictures or measurements or whatever the case may be, please leave a comment, and I'd be more than happy to get some measurements. I'm sure, you know, the folks that build these post pullers professionally, they probably would rather you buy one from them. But I think for what you can buy steel for and hydraulics for, and if you enjoy doing this kind of stuff, you can kind of come out ahead doing it yourself. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this. Hit that like and subscribe button if this is something you want to see more of. Anyways, thanks again.